You're listening to the morning update on frequency 87.9. Good morning, or at least I think it's morning. I'm your host, James Hallwell, and as always, I'll be here to bring you the latest on traffic, weather, headlines, and, well, whatever else the day decides to throw our way. Usually around now, the light starts creeping in through the blinds here in the studio. I've got a small sliver of window next to the mic. It catches the sunrise perfectly, or used to. But today, nothing. Still pitch black outside. Maybe heavy cloud cover, a thick fog. Anyway, for those just tuning in, reports are coming in from the east coast of delays due to low visibility. No surprise there, autumn tends to be moody. Stay cautious on the roads, and if you're out walking, wear something reflective. We've got a few birthdays on the board too. Mrs. Elridge, 92 today, still sharp as a tack. Happy birthday, ma'am. There's something oddly still this morning. No birds. Usually by now there's a little chorus right outside the studio, crows, sparrows, something chirping in the distance. But today it's like everything hit pause. Not even the hum of passing cars outside. Just stillness. I'll check the satellite feeds in a bit. Maybe there's been a power disruption at the local grid or atmospheric interference. We've had those before. Temporary, strange, and mostly harmless. Still, if you're out there listening, do me a favor. Let me know if the sun's come up on your end. Text the station or call in. Just curious. We'll be right back after this brief pause. It's been 23 minutes since I first signed on this morning, and still no sunrise. Listeners are texting in dozens from neighboring counties to across state lines, all of them saying the same thing: no light, just darkness, a deep, unchanging black, as if the world forgot what time it was. Some are even reporting their clocks have stopped or flickered, digital watches resetting, old wind-ups frozen. I stepped out of the studio a moment ago. The sky, it's not like before storm dark. It's thicker, heavier. There's no movement, no shift in color or shade, just an endless black ceiling stretching far beyond where clouds ought to be. Some of you are scared. I can hear it in the voicemails you're leaving. One caller whispered, "It feels like the world is holding its breath." And I agree. There's this strange feeling in my chest, like something's about to snap. But we don't know what. Not fear exactly, but anticipation. Dread wearing a polite face. I've never had to announce this on air before, but please stay indoors for now. Not out of panic, just precaution. Something isn't right. And until we understand it, it's best to err on the side of silence and shelter. Keep your lights on. Check in on your neighbors if it's safe to do so. And above all, keep your radios tuned in. If anything changes, this station will be the first to tell you. An hour has passed. Still no light. The National Weather Service issued a preliminary statement. They're calling it an anomalous atmospheric blackout event. That's science speak for we don't know. Some meteorologists are pointing to a rare solar eclipse phenomenon, possibly undetected, though none were predicted. Others suggest a volcanic ash cloud might be obscuring the atmosphere, but there's been no seismic activity, no eruptions, no ash fall. Solar scientists are throwing out terms like coronal mass ejection, solar minimum, magnetic disruption, theories, guesses, none of them explaining why there's no glow on the horizon, why there's no faint light, why it feels endless. One researcher from a university in Oregon claimed, live on their station, it's not that the sun didn't rise, it's that we didn't. Let that settle in. I don't usually dabble in speculation, but I've been doing this job a long time. Hurricanes, fires, blackouts, we've covered them all, but never a moment like this, where the explanations feel thinner than the fear. Listeners from Europe are reporting the same darkness. Some areas in Asia, no confirmed daylight sightings yet. Global feeds are slowing down. News anchors visibly shaken on screen. One even broke down live, saying she could hear the darkness. That's the thing about silence. When it stretches long enough, your mind starts filling in the blanks. And right now, those blanks are louder than any headline. Stay with me. We'll get through this together. We've now confirmed it's not just us. Hundreds of messages are pouring in from across the globe. London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Johannesburg. The sun hasn't risen anywhere. And it's not just personal messages anymore. Social media feeds are overflowing with videos, people holding up their phones to black skies, midnight in places that should be basking in daylight. One video haunts me, a man in Rome standing in the middle of a crowded square, arms raised, shouting, "Where has the day gone?" Around him, people scream, sob, some just stare upwards, waiting for something that won't come. Another post from a woman in Mumbai. I set my alarm for sunrise. It rang, but the light never came. Hashtags are trending. Or endless night, frozen dawn, where is the sun? And yet, amidst it all, the internet stutters. Connections fail. Feeds vanish mid-scroll. Like the darkness isn't just outside, but eating through the wires. Someone sent me a message, just one line. This isn't natural. Something's been taken. It's spreading. Not just the darkness, but the panic. People are calling hospitals, temples, government hotlines. No one's giving answers. You can feel it now, in your gut. The kind of fear that has no direction, no shape. Just the weight of the unknown pressing down on your chest. And if you're still with me, don't look away. Keep listening, because something's coming. I can feel it. I want to play you something. It's a voicemail that came in 20 minutes ago. Soft breath. A child's voice. Hi, my name is Ella. I'm 7. My mommy said the sun is just late today. But I've been waiting and waiting. And it's still night. My dog keeps barking at the wall. He never does that. And my clock says it's morning, but everything is dark. Mommy says it's okay. But I think she's crying. I can hear her. I just want to know it. When will the sun come back? The message ends. I've played that 5 times already. And each time it hits harder. Because it's not just a child waiting for the sun. It's all of us. Every one of us, staring into this endless black, hoping it blinks. I tried to respond. Called the number. No answer. More messages are pouring in now. Children whispering from beneath blankets. Parents trying to explain what they can't understand themselves. Someone said they lit every light in their house just to feel like it wasn't swallowing them whole. And here I am talking into a microphone in the dark, wondering how many are still out there listening, wondering if I'm speaking into silence, into static. But Ella, if you're hearing this, I'm still here. I'll stay here as long as I can. For you, for everyone else waiting. Maybe we can't bring back the sun, but maybe we can hold on to each other until we see something that looks like light again. Stay tuned. It started slowly. A flicker here, a buzz there. Then whole blocks went dark. About 3 hours after I played Ella's message, the first wave of failures rolled in. Listeners began reporting strange electrical surges, streetlights pulsing, appliances resetting themselves, entire neighborhoods dropping off the grid. Then the calls started coming faster. James, the power's out across 6 blocks. My generator won't start. It's brand new. My car just died in the middle of the road. Dead. Nothing. By noon, if we can even call it that, our local power company went offline. Their emergency hotline just rang and rang. No updates, no tweets, just digital silence. I tried to reach our backup provider. The satellite uplink flickered and vanished. Solar arrays, that's the word that kept coming up. Our systems rely on solar. The power reserve is drained. There's no more sunlight. I don't think anyone realized just how much of our world depended on the sun, not just for food or warmth, but for energy, for time, for rhythm. Without it, even machines seem confused. Clocks reset, batteries drain like they're bleeding out, traffic lights fail, leading to pileups. Elevators freeze mid-floor, One listener said the lights in her house kept turning themselves on and off, even after she cut the circuit. It's like the dark is pushing back, she whispered. We rely on sunlight to power our homes. But maybe it powered something else too. Something deeper. Something we forgot was even there. Hold tight. This is far from over. The panic didn't come with a scream. It came in silence. And then, all at once, a listener called from downtown. It's happening, he said. They're breaking the windows. Supermarkets, pharmacies, gas stations, places that held warmth, supplies, meaning. They were the first to fall. Crowds pouring in like waves, tearing shelves apart, not just stealing, fighting, fistfights over bottled water. A man stabbed over a flashlight. Mothers clutching children while grabbing cans from strangers. Someone broke into a fire station just to get matches. Another caller whispered from a storage room in a mall. She'd locked herself inside, said she could hear chanting outside. Not words, just rhythm. Repetitive, desperate, like people trying to remember what control sounded like. Police were overwhelmed in the first few hours. Some tried to restore order, but they were outnumbered. Others abandoned their posts. One officer reportedly joined a looting crowd, screaming that none of it mattered anymore. My inbox is flooded, not with questions, with confessions. A man said he hadn't prayed in 20 years, but he dropped to his knees in a gas station aisle and begged for forgiveness when the emergency lights started flickering. A teenager admitted he hasn't left his basement and doesn't plan to. Another said, I always thought the world would end with fire or war, but this feels personal. And the darkness outside, it's thickening, like it's learning. If you're listening right now, don't go outside unless you must. Stay close, stay warm, stay connected, and keep your radio on. I tried switching frequencies again. AM, FM, satellite, just static. The major networks are gone. No morning show hosts laughing through awkward silence. No pre-recorded safety messages. No national broadcasts assuring us everything's under control. Nothing. Just hiss and hum and broken fragments of music, looping endlessly like someone abandoned the playlist mid-song. We're alone. That realization settled in sometime this afternoon. I say afternoon, but it's meaningless now. We have no time. Just darkness and the voices inside it. So this frequency, this tiny, overlooked local broadcast is all that's left. My voice, reaching out into a silence that feels bigger than any night we've known. And you're still out there. I know, because the messages haven't stopped. Your words, your fears, they flood in, not through satellite or network relays, just the old analog line. Wires and copper. Somehow, it's still alive. I heard from a nurse who said her entire hospital floor is running on candlelight. They're rationing antibiotics with sticky notes. She asked if anyone could donate batteries, not for the machines, but for a child's music box. She said, it keeps her from crying. This is what we are now. A web of voices in the dark clinging to a signal. No leaders, no plan, just each other. And maybe that's enough. Maybe in the absence of light, all we have is sound. If you're listening, keep listening. I'll be here. We're not alone yet. I've kept the lines open. Not because I have answers. God knows I don't. But because sometimes hearing another voice reminds you that you're not just floating in the dark alone. The calls come in waves now. Some panicked, some eerie in their calm. A woman from a farm outside Des Moines told me her chicken stopped moving. Not dead, just still, as if they're waiting for something. She said her husband stood in the barn all night, staring at the rafters, repeating the same phrase. It's coming from above. Then there was a man from downtown Philly. Said he was alone in a parking garage. His voice was hoarse, like he hadn't spoken in hours. They're not people anymore, he whispered. They move like people, but their eyes don't blink. I thought it was just the shadows, but now I think they're listening. One call came from an old rotary line, barely audible through static. A voice, childlike but distorted, said, "You're still here. That's good. We thought you left already." Then nothing. Others are stranger still. Someone recited numbers in a loop, 4 digits over and over, until the line cut. Another asked if I could hear the humming. Said it was coming through their floorboards. It's hard to know what's real and what's fear. But one thing's certain, we're not just experiencing this separately. These voices, these fragments, they're forming a pattern, like puzzle pieces scattered across the dark. I'll keep listening, because something out there wants to be heard. I tried to check the time earlier, but my watch had reset. Again. This is the 3rd time today. Or maybe the 4th. I can't tell anymore. My studio clock blinks 12 o'clock constantly, like it's mocking me. Time has become slippery, sluggish, like it's looping. Listeners are noticing it too. One man swore he watched the same commercial play 4 times in a row on a radio station that went offline yesterday. Another said he made coffee, walked away for 5 minutes, and when he returned, the mug was full again, still steaming. They say this kind of thing happens in sensory deprivation, when the body loses its cues. But this isn't just personal. Whole families are losing track of when they last slept, when they last ate. Some say they're dreaming while awake. Others claim they haven't blinked in hours. A teenager called in from a basement, voice trembling. "I think it's been 2 days," he said. But the cereal box still says Wednesday's date. It's still sealed. I keep opening it, but it reseals itself when I look away. Is it hallucination? A shared delusion? Or something else entirely? I don't know what the darkness is doing to us, but it's unmaking the rules. The ones we thought were permanent, linear. I keep speaking into this mic not just to reach you, but to remind myself I'm still here. That time is still moving, even if it no longer feels that way. If you're listening, tell me what day it is. I just got a call, one I can't shake. The voice was male, calm, clear, unlike most of the panicked ones we've gotten lately. "My name is Victor," he said. "I work in high-altitude surveillance. Was stationed outside Juneau before everything shut down. He said he'd been using specialized optical gear to search for heat signatures in the sky. Said he'd seen something. I don't think the sun disappeared," he said. "I think it was covered." At first I thought he meant cloud cover, but he laughed, soft and bitter. Not clouds, not weather. Something behind the black. A mass. A shape so large, it blots out everything. But here's the thing, when I inverted the spectrum, I saw another glow. Like a second sun. Behind the dark. Pulsing, slow. Rhythmic. He paused, then said, "I don't think we're supposed to see it. Not with our eyes. But it's there. Watching." I asked him to repeat it, to clarify, but all I heard was a breath, like wind in a tunnel, and then static. The line went dead. I tried calling him back. No answer. Number disconnected. And now, I can't shake this feeling in my chest, like something just turned its attention toward us, like something blinked. Second sun? What does that even mean? Some of you are probably shaking your heads. Maybe it was a prank, a delusion, but others, you heard what I heard. You felt what I felt when he said it. It wasn't a theory, it was a warning. And if the first sun vanished without a sound, what happens when the second one shows itself? I left the mic on during the break. I didn't mean to. But when I came back, there was a voicemail waiting. A woman. Soft voice. Breathing shallow. She said her name was Donna. Said she lived in a high-rise. Somewhere near the river. "I can't tell what time it is anymore," she whispered. "I've been listening to my neighbors through the walls. One sings to her baby in the dark, the same lullaby over and over, even when the baby's not crying." Then she paused. My hallway's quiet now. I haven't heard anyone open their door in 2 days. I knocked on Mrs. Patel's door this morning. She didn't answer, but I heard something. Scratching. Not at the door, inside, like fingernails dragging across tile. She ended with, I don't know if I'm the only one left on this floor, or if they've all gone somewhere, and I just didn't get the invitation. I get a lot of messages like that now. People trying to put words around silence. There was a voicemail from an elderly man who spoke as if talking to someone already gone. I know your name, he said, even if you've forgotten mine. I see your shape in the corners. Then he just started humming. A tune I can't place, something old. We're breaking in different ways, some gently, others violently, but we're all breaking. If you're still in your apartment, if you're still in your mind, leave the hallway light on. Sometimes, even shadows need a reminder of where not to go. A few days ago, I started receiving audio recordings from someone calling himself Father Amos. No return address. No caller ID. Just flash drives and handwritten notes left at the station door. The first one began with a prayer, low, slow, and unsettling. My children, he said, you have walked in light without reverence, and now you walk in darkness so you might remember who you are. He claims the disappearance of the sun is not a scientific anomaly, but a divine correction. A reset, as he calls it, punishment for arrogance, for forgetting the order of things. One of his tapes played on air yesterday. Some of you might have heard it. He was calm, too calm. He spoke of angels not with wings, but with hollow mouths and spiraled limbs. Said they would walk among us soon. Said they already were. Another note arrived this morning, written in red ink. You are the voice now, James. They listened through you. I didn't read that on air. Until now. Do I believe him? I'm not sure. I grew up Methodist. Haven't set foot in a church since college. But there's something about his voice. It isn't dramatic. It isn't fire and brimstone. It's patient. Like he's just waiting for the rest of us to catch up. I don't play his tapes live anymore, not all of them. Some have sounds in the background I can't explain. Not voices, not quite. I keep them locked in a drawer. But I hear them anyway. Dr. Lena Rourke called in today. Clinical psychologist, used to be a guest on this show years ago when we ran mental health segments. Today she sounded tired, different. She asked if she could speak to the listeners directly. I said yes. This isn't just fear, she said. We're seeing the breakdown of time-bound identity. The human mind was never meant to exist without light, without rhythm. We anchor ourselves to dawn, to dusk, to the ticking of clocks and the shifting of shadows. Without that, we drift. She believes we're experiencing a kind of mass temporal dissociation, not psychosis, not illness, a system-wide cognitive crash. I asked her about the hallucinations, the shadows, the figures, the voices in the walls. She paused. That's the part I can't explain, she said. People across different regions, different demographics, reporting identical visions, identical dreams. That's not delusion. That's transmission. I asked, transmission from where? She didn't answer. Instead, she told me she keeps waking up with sand in her sheets. Not dirt, not dust, sand. And she doesn't live near a beach. She also said she hasn't heard birds in over a week. None. Not even once. It's like nature's holding its breath, she whispered. The call ended like that. No goodbye. We've spent so long separating the mind from the world, treating trauma like a private wound. But what if the world itself is breaking our minds, one piece at a time? And what if something out there is watching, waiting, studying what happens next? If your thoughts are unraveling, you're not alone. We're all fraying at the same speed. I've tried to stay composed, steady, a voice in the dark. But I'd be lying, If I said it hasn't started getting to me, I used to keep a log, each hour, each update, but sometime yesterday, or today, I stopped writing. Not on purpose. I just realized the pen was still in my hand and the page was blank. I'd been holding it for God knows how long, just pressing down into the paper until it tore through. I forget what I've said on air. I hit replay on the last segment and didn't recognize my own voice. It sounded slower, lower, like someone else was pretending to be me. And there's this noise right beneath the static. Not loud, just persistent. Like breathing through water. It gets louder when I stop talking. Sometimes I hear my name whispered between transmissions. No one's there, but it's my name. I know it. The way my mother used to say it, soft and low when I come in late as a kid. I haven't left the studio in, I think it's been 2 days. I've been afraid to. Not because of what's outside, but because I don't remember locking the door, and it's still locked. This place used to be my anchor. The boards, the buttons, the lights blinking in rhythm. But now the rhythm is wrong. Offbeat. Like the world is tapping out a message and I'm just too slow to catch it. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe that's all it is. But if I start repeating myself, if I start sounding like someone else, don't turn the dial. Stay with me. Sometimes the only way back is through the voice you recognize. An anonymous message came through tonight. No caller ID. Scrambled audio, then a voice. Calm, measured, almost too steady. He said he used to work for NASA, a deep space research program. Not public-facing, not civilian, the kind of thing buried so deep you need clearance just to know it exists. We knew this could happen, he said. Not like this, not so sudden, but we've been watching anomalies at the edge of the solar system for over a decade. He called them zones of unreality, places where light bends wrong, where probes disappear without impact, where time feedbacks, loops, skips. He said one probe sent back images that didn't match any known star field, just a black disk, surrounded by flickers of light. The sun didn't go out, he said. Something moved between us and it. Something old, something vast. And it's still moving. I asked his name. He didn't answer, but before the line dropped, he said this. Don't trust the silence. It's not silence. It's signal compression. It's waiting for the right frequency to speak. I tried to trace the number. Dead end. But here's the part that keeps looping in my head. He didn't sound afraid. Not panicked. He sounded resolved. Like someone watching a story unfold exactly as he expected. So maybe this isn't a collapse. Maybe it's a hand, finally reaching back through space, pulling down the veil. And we're not at the end of something. We're at the beginning. It started with an emergency tone, sharp and piercing, cutting into every station, every feed. Then came the message, pre-recorded, robotic, layered with static, like it had been played one too many times. This is a national emergency. Shelter in place. Do not attempt to travel. Await further instructions. That was the last official thing we heard. Martial law rolled out before most people could process what was happening. Curfews, military patrols, drones in the sky, issuing the same phrase on loop, remain indoors. It was everywhere. Airports locked, trains stopped, entire cities frozen in place. And for a day or two, people obeyed. Then things changed. Videos surfaced. Soldiers abandoning posts, their vehicles left running in the street, checkpoints unmanned, medical stations deserted, supply drops missed. Some claimed to see black convoys, no insignia, no plates, moving without headlights, just gliding through the dark. The last press conference from the White House ended mid-sentence. Audio cut, camera froze on a single frame, an empty podium and flickering light. Since then, nothing. No officials, no presidents, no emergency teams, just silence. The world told us to wait, so we waited, but no one's coming back on the line. No one's issuing new orders. The commands have expired. but we still cling to them like worn out prayers. And now the only voice left is mine and yours. And whatever else is out there still listening, hold on. Because the silence isn't safety. It's something else. 5 days. That's how long it took for the last government frequency to go dark. At first, they just grew shorter. Reports got clipped. Updates were repeated word for word. Then, one by one, the frequencies dropped. FEMA, CDC, Homeland, NATO, all replaced with static, or worse, endless loops of outdated advisories, like ghosts clinging to their last breath. I scanned every band. I even pulled out my old shortwave rig trying to catch anything at all from outside. I caught a burst of Morse code, a string of tones that translated to one word. Gone. I'm still not sure if it was a message or a malfunction. There's something unnerving about losing the people you thought would lead. It's not just fear, it's vertigo. Like the floor's been pulled out from under you and no one's at the top to lower a rope. People started organizing their own signals, pirate broadcasts, community bulletins, but they flicker out fast. Batteries die, generators stall. And there's always that moment, that single final breath before they vanish. And then it's back to static. And it's not empty static anymore. There's a pattern in it now. Subtle, rhythmic, a low pulse buried deep, like a heartbeat too faint to hear unless you're truly alone. Some think the silence means safety's over. Others think it means someone else has taken control and just hasn't introduced themselves yet. Me? I think the silence is waiting. I got a call last night from someone traveling with a scavenger crew. Said they'd stumbled onto an old emergency services building. Half collapsed, mold-eaten, but beneath it, a reinforced sublevel, hidden behind what looked like a wall of file cabinets. What they found down there wasn't food or weapons. It was paperwork, diagrams, floor plans, reactor models. They took pictures, blurry, panicked shots, but enough to piece together something very wrong. One document was stamped in red. Project Helios Interruption. Another, Reactor Overlay, Synthetic Shadow Array, Stage 4. And a final one, sealed in a Ziploc bag with a post-it. Do not activate, do not speak. They left most of it behind. Said the air felt heavy, too still, like something had been left running even after the lights went out. They also said there were photos. Black and white prints, clipped together, showing something in the sky. A ripple, a shadow that didn't belong to any cloud system. One frame had it over a military base, another over a crowded stadium. All of them dated months before the sun stopped rising. Why were these buried? Why weren't we told? Some believe it was a mistake, a government experiment meant to redirect solar energy that spiraled out of control. Others think it was intentional, a veil drawn down, not by nature, but by design. And the deeper they dig, the more they find references to something called Phase 2. No description, no date, just the phrase, everywhere. In margins, file names, even scribbled in pen along the spine of a map book. I asked the caller why they were telling me all this. They just said, because someone needs to remember. Before the static takes that too. I don't know what Helios was. I don't know what's coming. But if there's a Phase 2, this was only the beginning. It's not just scavengers and whispers anymore. Now it's journalists, or what's left of them. Someone dropped a flash drive at our back door this morning. No return address, no markings, just a scrap of paper taped to the case that read, "You deserve the truth." I didn't know what I expected. But it wasn't this. The files were audio logs, debriefs, phone calls, internal memos, clipped, distorted, but real. One voice repeated throughout, a man named Langley. No title. But from the way others spoke to him, he was high up, military or intelligence, maybe both. One log began with this. Test sequence, Helios 9, exceeded radiation modeling. Atmospheric disruption not contained. Optical interference spread beyond projected radius. Recommend global communications blackout until containment. Another voice, female, panicked, interrupts. You're saying the array caused this? The sun? No, Langley replies. The array removed our filter. It didn't erase the sun. It let something else in. Silence. Then a chilling phrase. We thought the dark was absence. It's presence. We were wrong. There's more. Hours of encrypted files. I've only scratched the surface, but it's clear now. This didn't catch them off guard. They'd seen the signs. They had protocols. But instead of warning us, they tried to manage it, contain it. And when they failed, they vanished behind the static. This wasn't nature. This wasn't divine. This was a door someone opened without asking what was on the other side. And whatever came through, it's still here. After I heard the tapes, I couldn't sit still. I started scanning the airwaves again. Every dial, every channel, hoping for confirmation or denial, anything. That's when I found them. Not voices at first, just tones, warbled, metallic, not random, repeating in patterns that didn't feel like interference, more like encoded rhythm, like breathing, or language behind glass. Then came voices, foreign languages, clipped and layered, Russian, Arabic, Mandarin, others I didn't recognize. Not normal transmissions. These weren't governments speaking to citizens. They were enclaves talking to each other. One feed kept repeating coordinates in broken English, then cut to silence. Another said only one word, over and over, in a voice that sounded artificial. Preserved, preserved, preserved. One feed just played an old hymn. Nearer, my God, to thee, on loop. What are these stations? Who's still broadcasting? And why are they speaking in code, in fragments, in riddles? It feels like the world didn't just fall, it fractured. Pieces of it still spinning, still talking, but unaware of each other. Or maybe aware and choosing not to reconnect. It's like we all ducked into separate bunkers and forgot the password to come back out. I keep recording these signals. I'll play what I can, once I'm sure it won't draw attention, because some of them, they don't sound like us anymore. And one of them, just one, ended with a voice saying, "Tell them we never left. We just stopped answering." I didn't believe it when I first heard it. Just after midnight, the static changed. It wasn't louder, just clearer. Like someone tuned it in from the other side. A short burst of digital pulses, then silence, then a voice. Flat, emotionless, not machine, not quite human. Signal integrity verified. Listeners secured. Execute uplink protocol. Another pause. A long one. I almost shut it off. Then the last line. Begin phase 2. That's all it said. No origin, no frequency, metadata. Just that. Begin phase 2. I've played it back a dozen times, and each time it sounds more certain. Like it wasn't a warning. It was a confirmation. Listeners secured. Uplink protocol begin. Is that what we are now? Listeners, receivers, or participants? What does phase 2 look like? Because if this was phase 1, if the darkness, the silence, the unraveling of time and reason was just the start, then we're already through the first door, and something is waiting behind the next. I don't know when this signal will cut off. I don't know how many of you are still out there. But I know this. They didn't abandon us. They prepared for something. And now, it's started. Science has stopped answering. The updates from research institutes, from observatories, from the think tanks, they've gone quiet. The last official report from the Astrophysics Alliance simply read, "No model explains current conditions. No model, no equation, no explanation." And in that vacuum, theories are multiplying like spores. One says the sun didn't vanish. It collapsed inward, forming a singularity we can't perceive. Another claims a planetary misalignment nudged us into a space where light doesn't behave the way it should. I got a message last night from a man who swears the Earth has been moved, physically relocated, into a pocket of dead space outside our known galaxy. Like something picked us up, he wrote, and set us where no star could reach. Others blame the moon. They say it's shifted, or grown, or opened. And then there are those who say the universe didn't change. We did. That something's altered human perception at a molecular level. That the darkness is just in us, not around us. That if we could just remember how to see, the sun would be waiting where it's always been. None of it makes sense. But the thing is, they all sound equally possible now. That's the terror. The loss of certainty. We built our world on fixed truths, gravity, time, daylight. When those begin to slip, you realize how little else holds. You start asking different questions. Not where's the sun, but was it ever really ours? And what happens if the answer is no? As the scientists go silent, the preachers grow louder. Across shortwave and public frequencies, sermons now spill into the air like smoke, familiar verses twisted into prophecy, old words bending under new fear. And the sun shall be turned into darkness. One voice thundered last night, and the moon into blood. That one's from Joel, I think. Or maybe Revelation. Hard to tell anymore. Scripture is bleeding into broadcasts like gospel static. A man calling himself Prophet Jonah broadcasts nightly from a converted church in Kansas, claims he foresaw this in a vision, a divine blackout meant to purge the modern world of its arrogance. He says the light will return, but only after the faithful walk the dark unflinching. Others speak of rapture, of the chosen already lifted, that we're the ones left behind, being tested or punished, depending on who's preaching. Some have even rewritten the Genesis story, claiming we're not in the seventh day of rest, but the eighth day of reckoning, a hidden chapter, a forgotten warning. People are listening, desperate people, people who just want meaning in the silence. I get it. I really, when science shrugs, the spirit steps in. And right now, belief feels more stable than data. But belief has teeth too. And not all the voices in the dark are preaching peace. One preacher, off air now, claimed that every light bulb in his church exploded the moment they finished praying. A sign, he said, the light we made was false. The real one is coming back, and it will not forgive. I turned off that station after midnight, but the echo of his voice stayed in my head, somewhere between warning and prophecy, between comfort and madness. Something is waking. What begins as faith doesn't always stay that way. Lately, I've started hearing about new groups. Not old religions, new ones. Born since the blackout, born from the dark. They go by names like the reversal, the light within, the circle of stillness, each with its own version of what this is, what we are, what must happen next. One group believes the sun was an illusion all along, a false god. They say the darkness is purity and the light was the lie. They gather in silence, wrapped in black cloth, and face inward, always inward. Another believes the sun can be coaxed back, but only with sacrifice. I won't describe what they've done, what they've tried. You've probably heard rumors. I'll confirm one. It wasn't animals. Then there are the dreamers. They think this is all part of a collective awakening, that we're not lost. We're inside a birth canal, the long night before rebirth. They chant in tones, hum in unison. Some have stopped speaking entirely. They say speech traps you in the old world. I spoke to a woman who escaped one of these groups. She wouldn't give a name, just whispered that the ground felt warm beneath their gatherings, and that sometimes she heard something moving beneath them. They don't want the light back, she said. They want what comes after. I asked her what that meant. She just cried. I don't know what's worse, people losing faith or people reshaping it into something unrecognizable. I used to think belief was a candle in the dark. But now I wonder, How many of us are building bonfires in the void, hoping something will see us? And how many are hoping it already has? There's a man named Dr. Weller who used to teach theoretical physics before the university closed its doors. I interviewed him years ago when time still felt like something you could hold in your hand. He called again last night. His voice was different, shaky but focused, like someone trying to build a ladder while falling. He said, "The sun didn't disappear, James. We did." He claims we've shifted, off our original axis, off our timeline, maybe even out of our dimension altogether. He says this isn't a blackout. It's a misalignment. We slipped, he said, like a vinyl skipping grooves. And now we're playing a track that was never meant to be heard. He described it like a radio dial. We were tuned to a specific frequency of existence. Wavelength, dimension, vibration, pick your term, and somehow, something nudged the dial just a bit. Not enough to break the machine, just enough to change what it receives. I asked him if we could tune it back. He hesitated. I don't think we were the ones who turned it. Others echo him. Fringe scientists, independent researchers, they speak of quantum anchoring, multidimensional bleed-through, consciousness displacement, all fancy terms for one terrifying possibility. We're no longer where we were, and if we aren't where we were, we don't know what rules apply here. Maybe gravity still holds. Maybe breath still fills lungs. But maybe time, light, memory, maybe those are soft now. Fragile, mutable. I used to trust that when I closed my eyes and opened them again, the world would be in the same place. Now I keep them open, just to be sure. Around 3 a.m. last night, I picked up something strange. An interference pattern in the static, like a pulse beneath the noise. I isolated the signal, boosted it, and there it was, a rhythm. 4 beats, pause, 3 beats, long pause, repeat. At first I thought it was mechanical, satellite debris, old radar, but it wasn't consistent. It varied slightly, like breath, or thought, or intent. I played it on air for a few minutes. Some of you heard it and called in. One listener said it reminded them of a whale song, slowed to a crawl. Another said it made their dog howl, then whimper. One caller sobbed and wouldn't say why. A man from Oregon told me he'd heard the same pattern in his sleep the night before. He'd dreamed of standing in a field of black glass, and the sky was humming. Experts, the ones still talking, they say it's atmospheric pressure bouncing through magnetic channels. But even they don't sound convinced. The strange part? It's coming from above, but not from orbit. Higher, beyond our satellites, beyond the ionosphere, somewhere in the deep upper layers where nothing should be transmitting. And it's getting louder. There are theories, of course. Contact, a warning, a countdown. Some say it's a call and response that we already answered once, long ago, and now it's replying. I don't know what it is, but it's not random. And if the sky is singing, I have to ask, who's listening? And what happens when the song is complete? This morning, I received a voicemail from an unfamiliar number. The voice was soft, deliberate, older, a woman. She said her name was Margaret, said she was born blind. I've never seen light, she said. Not once, not as a child, not as a flicker. I only know it from the way others talk about it. But last night, she said, she saw something. Not a flash, not a hallucination. It was light, she whispered, and it came from below. She described it like warmth behind her eyes, like colors she had no words for, colors that didn't exist when the world still turned properly. She said the light pulsed, but didn't burn. It illuminated something deeper, something buried. I think it's always been there, she said. But we weren't quiet enough to notice it before. She lives near the base of an old mountain range. Said the ground felt charged, like it was vibrating, like something under the soil had stirred, like something ancient was blinking awake. When I asked her what the light showed her, she said, everything we lost. But also, everything that's been waiting. I played her message twice, and I don't know why. But I haven't been able to stop shaking since. Why would someone blind since birth suddenly see? And not just see, but describe something so vivid, so impossible, so other. And why from below? We've spent all this time looking to the sky for answers. What if we've been looking the wrong way? What if what's coming isn't coming down? What if it's already beneath us? It's the 27th day without sunrise. I only know that because I've scratched lines into the edge of this desk. 27 gouges in cheap veneer. One for each day I've waited to see the horizon glow again. For each day I've told myself, maybe tomorrow. Food's almost gone. I've stretched the rations, but there's only so far you can bend time and tin before something snaps. I've lost weight. My hands tremble. My breath feels heavier, like the air itself is forgetting how to carry life. Outside, it's still silent. Not quiet. Silent. No wind, no insects, no movement. As if the world paused and forgot how to hit play. And in here, the lights flicker more now. The backup generator hums with a tone I don't remember it having. Higher, sharper, like it's straining to stay awake. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the last one still broadcasting. I ask the question, but I don't want the answer. There's a kind of comfort in uncertainty, isn't there? A buffer between knowing and breaking. I talk into this microphone, and I imagine you're still out there, huddled in basements, sitting alone in kitchens, wrapped in blankets, radios pressed to your ear, listening, breathing, waiting. Maybe that's all this is now. Waiting. Not for light, not for rescue, just for something to change. But nothing has. Nothing except me. I think I've started dreaming with my eyes open. I see flickers on the walls, shapes that twist out of the static and melt away when I blink. I hear footsteps above me, but there's no floor there. Not anymore. Still, I broadcast, because it's all I have. And if you're still there, if you haven't slipped away yet, just know, I'm still here too. I queued up old recordings today, messages from the early days, when the lines were still full and people still believed this would pass. I played them not to remember, but to remind myself it was real. Here's one, from a woman named Camille. She laughed through her fear, said her husband was convinced it was all a government trick, that the sun would blink back on any second. He keeps wearing his sunglasses indoors just to spite the darkness, she joked. Her voice cracked at the end, but she laughed anyway. I haven't heard from her since day 9. Another one, from a boy, maybe 12. My sister says the dark is like a blanket, but I think it's a monster pretending to be one, he said. He asked me if I'd tell it to go away. I said I'd try. I still don't know if he was serious or if he knew something we didn't. And then there are the goodbyes. Voicemails with long pauses, shaky breaths, some whispered prayers, some just silence, like they hit record and waited for words that never came. Some of them I still haven't deleted. I just can't. I once said I'd be a voice for the people. I didn't think that meant I'd become their archive, their echo. Sometimes I think I hear them in the static. Not metaphorically. I mean, I hear them. The laughter, the breathing, the last words, like the air remembers, like the signal never fully fades. It just sinks, waiting to rise again. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all we ever leave behind are traces, fleeting vibrations, a signal too weak to break through the void. Still, I keep playing them because I'm not ready to forget. And because maybe, somewhere, someone's still listening. This morning, I found a letter slipped under the studio door. No name on the envelope, just the words, "Please read this on air." Inside, a child's handwriting. Careful, slanted. It read, "Dear Radio Man, my name is Ellie. I'm 9. I don't like the dark, but when I hear your voice, I pretend the sun is still up. I close my eyes, and it feels warm. Again. Mommy says the sun is gone, but I think maybe it just moved into your throat. You are the sun to me. Please don't stop talking. If you do, I think the dark will win." There was a little drawing at the bottom. Me, I think, with rays coming out of my mouth. Crayons smudged from fingerprints. I sat with that letter for a long time. Didn't say a word. What do you say to that? What can you say? Ellie, if you're listening, thank you. I don't know where you are, or how you found this place, or how you even got that letter through the door without me hearing. But thank you. I don't know if I'm a son. I don't feel like one, but I'll keep talking. For you. For anyone still reaching through the dark with nothing but hope and a signal. We've lost a lot, and maybe we'll lose more. But as long as a voice still travels through the static, we're not gone. We're flickering. And sometimes that's enough. I've been scanning all morning. Every hour on the hour, I check every station, every frequency. Out of habit, out of hope, maybe just out of fear. And one by one, they're going silent. The Canadian emergency line? Gone. That pirate station out of Maine that played jazz between messages? Static? The preacher from Georgia with his nightly sermons? Nothing but low hum now. There used to be a rhythm to the airwaves. You could feel the presence of others like voices in the walls. Now, it's just me. There's no one left on the dial. And the static isn't quiet anymore. It's growing like a tide rising under the floorboards. A roar that doesn't get louder, it just gets closer. It slips between words, bleeds into breath. Sometimes I hear it mimicking me, playing back fragments of my own voice milliseconds after I speak. Not an echo, a response. I tried to call out again today, on every frequency, every band, just in case someone missed a signal, just in case someone forgot to answer. Nothing came back, except static. I don't know what's more terrifying, being the last voice, or not being alone and simply not being heard. It used to be that silence meant peace. Now it feels like something holding its breath. And I'm still here, talking, broadcasting. Not because I think anyone's listening anymore, but because I'm afraid of what might happen when I stop. Because if I stop, that thing in the static might start speaking back. And I don't want to know what it has to say. At 2:41 this afternoon, according to my still blinking, probably useless wall clock, I caught something. Just a blip. A break in the static. A voice. Garbled but unmistakable. It came from the Antarctic relay. That base, McMurdo, I think, had gone dark weeks ago. No pings, no satellite bursts. Everyone assumed they were gone, buried, forgotten under white ice and black sky. But then, clear as anything, this is station Echo 6 McMurdo Outpost. Signal integrity compromised. Minimal crew remains. Pause. Then something quieter but sharper. We are not alone. We never were. And then silence again. Not static. Silence. The kind that feels like a hand pressing on your chest. I don't know how they're still transmitting. I don't know what they meant. But those words keep repeating in my head, looping louder than any scream. We are not alone. We never were. Somewhere in the dark, beneath the ice, above the clouds, inside the static, there's something else. Not just watching, waiting. Maybe this whole time we thought we were broadcasting outward. But what if we've just been amplifying ourselves? For them. Calling into the void and hearing nothing, Not because there was no one there, but because they were listening too closely to interrupt. McMurdo's gone again now. Dead frequency. But that single message, it cracked something in me. If they were still out there, if they found something, then maybe we didn't just lose the sun. Maybe we lost the barrier between us. And it. And maybe that silence we feared for so long wasn't empty at all. It started an hour ago. A low hum under the floor, faint like a generator kicking on in the distance. Except this isn't a machine I've heard before. Then the shaking started. Not violent. Not like an earthquake. More like the earth shifting its weight. Like something moving beneath it. Rolling in its sleep. Cans rattled off the shelves. The walls groaned. I felt the mic vibrate beneath my hands. It hasn't stopped since. The signal's weaker now. Every minute the static bleeds more into my words. I can't tell if you can hear me clearly, or if all that's coming through is the storm behind my voice. The darkness outside the window is deeper than it's ever been. Like it's not just the absence of light, but the presence of something else. I don't know if this is the end or if it's the beginning of something worse. But I need you to know. This voice, these words, they weren't meant to be sermons. They weren't meant to be last rites. They were just meant to remind you that you weren't alone. And maybe I needed that reminder more than any of you. Maybe that's all this has been. A flare sent into space, not for rescue, but for recognition. We're still here. Even if the sun doesn't rise again, even if the ground opens beneath us, even if the static consumes every word, we were here. And if you're still there, keep listening. Please. The signal is breaking up now. Everything's hazy. There's a high-pitched tone behind the static, like feedback, but warmer. Like something just turned its head in our direction. I'm still broadcasting. Barely. The lights are flickering. The console's humming a tone I've never heard. And beneath it all, there's that rhythm again. Like a countdown, but slower. Like breathing through the soil. I don't know how much longer I'll be here. The ground's humming now. The air feels thick. Like it's listening. So this might be it. If this is the last voice you hear, let it remind you of one thing. The dark didn't win. Because we didn't stop speaking. We didn't stop reaching. We were the signal. We were the flare. We were the voice in the storm. We were the sun, even if we couldn't see it. Long pause. You're listening to the radio, and this may be our last sunrise, even if we never see it. A child's laughter, faint, lingering, impossible. And then, silence.